Shalom, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Pulse of Israel. Today, a special episode together with the Yes Israel Project, run by Ruth Jaffe Lieberman and Sarah Pillay. And today we are hosting together law professor Eugene Kantorovich. Shalom, Eugene. How are you today?
Hi, good to be here.
It is a pleasure having you. Always look forward to your insights. Today we wanted to reach out to you regarding the recent nomination of a new Supreme Court justice, and just to hear your feedback with your knowledge of the U.S. legal system. Is it legal? Does President Trump have the right to nominate? And does the Republican Party who hold the Senate have the right to be able to make a decision upon this nomination before the upcoming elections in November?
I think it's most clearly. Legal. The Constitution. Just open it up, and you see that the president has the power to appoint officers, and he has this power. And when does he have this power? Well, when he's president. So I think Donald Trump is clearly the president. It's undisputed. And no one really believes that Donald Trump lacks the constitutional power to appoint a president. I think the argument more is that it's bad form, and that it's a breach of some kind of norms or agreed upon consensual standards of political restraint. So, there's not going to be a legal case. Can he appoint? Of course he can appoint him. He has a right to appoint and seek Senate confirmation of anyone up to his last day in office. At the same time, I think it's also very much the case that the Democrats have absolutely no obligation to expedite a hearing, to confirm her, or to make it easy for him to push the nomination through the Senate. So basically, everyone has exactly the rights that the Constitution prescribes. The Senate the president has the right to nominate her, and the Senate has the right to decline its consent, and the Democrats in the Senate can do whatever they want to bring that about. And the notion that there's some kind of agreed upon rules of restraint or politeness that would still reciprocally bind both sides is, I think, fanciful.
I actually read a number of different pieces of information that, again, love to hear your feedback about. One, I think I saw the statistic that 29 Supreme Court justices have been voted upon during the fourth year of a presidency. That's one. Two, the Democrats like to bring up, I think it was 2015, how the Republicans stopped Barack Obama from being able to get approval for his Supreme Court nominee. The third piece of information is actually Mitt Romney, and his announcement that he was going to support the President Trump's nomination, said, listen, when it's customary that when the Senate is held by a majority that's not the party of the president, not to approve, but when the president and the Senate are in the same party, then there's no reason not to go forward with that. And the last piece of information I've heard is the Democrats, and I believe Nancy Pelosi even said this, that Ruth Bader Ginsburg's last wish, no constitutional legal standing whatsoever, but let's say her last wish was that a nominee to replace her should only be voted upon after the election. But very interestingly, there's actually video footage, and I've seen it and I've put it out there, of the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself back in 2015 saying the president has every right to continue being president during the fourth-year term, and of course he can continue to nominate Supreme Court nominees during the fourth year of a presidential term.
Yeah, again, no one doubts that he in point of law can. The question is there something untoward about it? So the point about fourth-year nominations I think illustrates the following point. You can't really enforce a rule that you can't nominate Supreme Court justices late in the term, because the question is, what's late in the term? There's no constitutional definition. Does it mean the last 3 months? Does it mean the last 6 months? Does it mean the last year? Does it mean the last 2 years? The second half? The line drew, and of course, you can never have confidence that the other side would apply the rule the same way, because they'd say, oh no, so you were not allowed to appoint because it was like 4 months from the end of the term, but in our case it's 5 months, and so that makes the critical difference. So it's very hard for that to be stable over time. It's not surprising that many Supreme Court justices would be appointed in the last year of a president's term, because there's a phenomenon that's been well studied of strategic dying in office. That is to say, Supreme Court justices are particularly likely to die in the last 2 years of the term of a president of the opposing party, because they could just resign like 4 years before when they have a president of their party, but that would secure what is said to be Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If this was Ruth Bader Ginsburg deeply held last wish, she could easily have secured it by resigning 4 years ago.
There are a number of viral videos out there of Democrats screaming at the top of their lungs at Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This is after she died, saying all you had to do was either wait to die till 2021 or have resigned when Obama was the president. They were angry at her.
So it's very hard to wait to die, and but you can resign early. That's a real. So, but it turns out that doesn't actually happen. So they always try to carry themselves over the hump, and often doesn't work out because we're talking typically about very elderly people. So it's a fairly predictable circumstance. So there's no standard that could be applied here. We don't know what's late in the term. Merrick Garland is a great point. So I think when Republicans criticized Obama for appointing Merrick Garland late in the term, I think they were being as facile and insincere as Democrats are being now. But more to the point, exactly the same rule applies. I felt then President Obama had every right to nominate him. So certainly nothing wrong with nominating. And Republicans had every right to make that hard for him and oppose the nomination. And just like today, Democrats have every right to push back and oppose the nomination. The difference is the Republicans have a majority now, and the Democrats did not have a majority then. So that's a difference that turns out in a democracy to be significant. These are all. As to Ruth Bader Ginsburg's last wish, I've heard reports like that. I have not examined them very closely, but I have not seen particularly credible, or authoritative sources saying that. So if I haven't seen a last will and testament from her, I would not be inclined to believe that this was her last wish, because it's a little bit of there's no reason to attribute this to the deceased who cannot. I assume her last wishes were normal people. Last wishes for her children and grandchildren to be happy and healthy. So I would not assume something so unusual unless I had clear evidence, which is, by the way, why we have a complex legal system for ascertaining the last wishes of people who are dying. Because when they're dead, everybody can make self-serving claims for their alleged. I'm sure also, I'm certain Ruth Bader Ginsburg would want Democrats to oppose Donald Trump's candidate, and they should.
That's a very important point you made.
Yes. Just legally, is there any relevance to her if it comes out that she wrote some last? Is there any relevance in terms of her role as Supreme Court justice?
No, the positions are not dynastic.
Okay, that's what I.
Yeah.
Eugene, before I ask you, I wanted to continue asking you specifically about Amy Barrett as the nominee, but I just wanted to reach out to Sarah of the Yes Israel Project. You have your eyes and ears with many politicians, many offices in Washington. What's been the feedback you've been hearing about what's going on today?
I think they're thrilled with the nominee. I think they feel that she really represents the original, interpretation of the Constitution. I'll let Eugene explain that further from his perspective. I think that they also know that she's been vetted before. She's gone through a vetting process 3 years ago, I believe, and passed, even though there was a lot of pushback then. So I think that the president understands that he has a very, very solid nominee who has an excellent history and an excellent judicial perspective that is hard to fight from both. Again, she's a Republican president nominee, but as a judge, she's an excellent candidate for the Supreme Court. So I think they're very thrilled, and they feel that they had the votes and that they have a game plan, and I think they're really confident.
So, Eugene, take it away from here. What's your 2 cents on Amy Barrett, the nominee?
She's a very serious and credible candidate. President Trump had a list of serious, credible candidates. Very hard to compare them one against the other. Supreme Court justices are a bit of a pig in a poke. You never know what you're actually going to get because of their great independence. But she's certainly qualified. She's very intelligent. She's a scholar. She's a judge. So she is a plausible and serious candidate. I have to say, I think it's regrettable that we live in a world in which Supreme Court positions have become, if not dynastic, then at least quasi-dynastic, in that a woman's seat, a seat vacated by a Supreme Court female justice, is thought to presumably need to devolve to another woman justice. Certainly there's nothing in the Constitution that requires that, and it seems like a fairly arbitrary and biased way to limit search. I'm very gratified that President Trump did not feel the need to extend this principle by requiring that if the Ginsburg seat be replaced by someone demographically equivalent with a Jewish woman judge. As a Jew, I do not feel that like Jews on the Supreme Court need to be replaced by other Jews on the Supreme Court. Or that the presence of a Jew in a seat requires any further tenure of Jews in that seat. That would be kind of like Lebanon, turning the Supreme Court into like a sectarian, divided institution. So I think, and anything along those lines is lamentable. But as it happens, Amy Barrett has all the things you need. She's a serious scholar. She's a Court of Appeals judge, and perhaps the most important thing you need, she is young and apparently healthy, which is probably the most important criteria for a Supreme Court justice. She's quite young.
Which, believe it or not, is one of the things I believe the Democrats are so upset about, because it means that if her nomination is approved, she would be on the Supreme Court for a very long time, of which they are not happy about, which I want to continue asking about. The 2 main issues that they fear the most, again, the Democrat side of American society, is they believe that this will allow President Trump to have Obamacare knocked down or changed or whatever exactly, and also abortion at the federal level to be for the laws regarding that, Roe v. Wade, to be changed. What's your insight about that, specifically those 2 concerns of the Democrats, and any other liberal progressive policies they feel that are going to be?
I think it's extremely unlikely that Roe v. Wade will be overturned. The Supreme Court cares deeply about precedents, and precedents that are seen as big ones, even if wrongly decided. I think the notion that Roe v. Wade will be overturned is principally a tool of mobilizing the political base for progressives. I think even justices who might disagree, there's a difference between disagreeing with Roe versus Wade and overturning it. And I just don't see 5 justices on the court being willing to take that major step. At the same time, Roe versus Wade does not answer lots of particular questions about particular state restrictions on abortion, and Roe v. Wade and its more Casey subsequent case articulating further tests for abortion have been interpreted fairly aggressively by the Supreme Court in ways that they need not necessarily be interpreted as really preventing any kind of state or wide variety of state regulation of abortion, which could present some of those particular regulations, restrictions about particular procedures, restrictions about licensing of abortion clinics. You could imagine those particular issues being revisited. I think that would be likely. But in the end, I don't think any of this matters, because if Donald Trump wins the election, he's not going to need Amy Barrett to overturn Obamacare, and he'll probably get additional nominations as well. And if he loses, then Amy Barrett would only be the one of 15 Supreme Court justices whose nomination will seem fairly insignificant, because it is likely that if she gets confirmed and Democrats win, they at least say that they have serious intent to pack the Supreme Court. That is to say, to increase the size of the Supreme Court, so they would immediately, let's say, to 15, which would give them an immediate 6 additional nominees and a built-in long-term permanent majority on the court, which would essentially make the court a rubber stamp for whatever they choose to do.
Do you think that is a real threat when they're saying they're going to stack the court if they win? They intend to do that, or is that not another scare tactic?
I think they say they intend to do it. So the question is, what would stop them? So in the past, like when Roosevelt threatened to do this, it was seen as, even by his Democratic colleagues, as being really a step too far, and something that would be against certain basic norms, unwritten norms, and undermine respect for the court. But I think we've gotten to a point where both sides, certainly, do not think that there are any mutually binding, non-written norms. I think the demonization of Trump is so extreme that they would certainly see it legitimate to do anything they can to entrench, to prevent his reascendancy or something like that. I think they were very likely to do whatever they can to attempt to cement a permanent ruling majority supported from the outside by the court. At least they say so, and I would take them at their word at this. By the way, they have every constitutional right to.
Really, that's very interesting. And what the other interesting thing?
Nothing in the Constitution prevents turning the Constitution into a laughingstock. At a certain point, the governing institutions can be no better than the virtue of the governed people, and there's a broad scope of things that would be, let's say, bad or counterproductive, but nonetheless constitutionally legitimate.
The other interesting point that I came upon was that the only reason the Republicans today are in a place to approve Amy Barrett, Trump's nominee, as her nomination, is because the Democrats changed the rules of the game in 2013 when they were a majority of the Senate. It used to be the Senate needed a majority of 60 votes, which always meant that there had to be some bipartisanship in approving president's nominees. But in 2013, the Democrats changed the rule to make it just a majority, no longer needing 60. So, and Mitch McConnell at the time said, "You're gonna pay for this." And if I'm not mistaken, we're seeing it today.
Yes, I do. But I think if they pack the court, they will not have to pay, because with deeply held control of the Supreme Court, you could make significant enough changes in the electoral college, voting mechanisms, and whatnot to significantly reduce the likelihood of a rotation of power.
Wow, that's a scary thought. Yes, Sarah.
I was saying, so if she is confirmed, in terms of Trump's reelection, what are the implications for the election? How do you think it will play in terms of the people's reactions? How do you feel it'll be used as an election?
I'm not a pollster. I don't know. The conventional wisdom is that Supreme Court nominations are useful for rallying the base on both sides. But normal people don't care so much about it. But enthusiasm amongst otherwise motivated people can be significantly affected by it. So it's principally a get out the vote tool. But I would think it would be equally effective on both sides.
And
That is to say, it would mobilize Biden's base as much as Trump's.
Understood. Do you think the personal attacks against her that are being levied against her could raise issues that will, again, rally different bases?
Yeah, it all depends on how much people are paying attention. The apparent extraordinary contempt for people with religious conviction by some parts of the Washington and media elite would certainly be, distressing, I think, to people who have those convictions and might otherwise be inclined to support the Democrats. But nonetheless, President Obama got elected, despite his deprecation of bitter clingers to the Bible. The question is how much contempt the regular people will bear, and the answer may be a fair amount. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting.
But again, it all depends how closely people follow this. Right? They say, she's a member of this Catholic sect, people of praise. So I assume that, the overwhelming majority of the American population, like me, does not know anything about the people of praise, which is a fairly small group. And so whether they believe that this is some kind of scary, crazy group or not kind of just depends on how much they trust what they hear on the news. But no one's going to say, oh, no, I know the people of praise. They're like normal, because no one's ever heard of them because they're very small.
Yeah, no, I mean, following up the reporting, the reactions, she's not a man, so they can't go after her for being a sexist or any rape claims. She has Black adopted children. They can't go after her that she's racist. She's right. No, but the strongest claim against her that I've seen pushed in the media has been that she has no right to adopt Black children. It's like the progressive left is now saying, no. You have white privilege. You're not allowed. You don't know how to be turning everything around to attack her. But they're like clutching for straws into how to go after her.
Yes, I think it's a little bit embarrassing, but I think after the Kavanaugh confirmation, it's a little bit of a relief. The Kavanaugh confirmation broke all norms of at least the things they're saying about her are clearly substantiated in objective reality, right? She is in fact a religious Catholic. She does in fact have 5 biological children and 2 adopted children from Haiti. Those things are all true. It's not like someone said 30 years ago type thing. But so, in a sense, it's more pleasant.
So let me follow up with you on the Kavanaugh thing, because I think it was Mitch McConnell again. And with this, we'll end. I know we all have to get back to our kids since we're all homeschooling today, and grandkids for some of us, not me. But Mitch McConnell is saying that he's going to try to forego the confirmation hearings because of the debacle, the embarrassment of the Kavanaugh hearings. Do you think is he going to get away with that?
I don't know. I'm not sure it's the right move. I think high-profile televised hearings in which she's grilled about her religious beliefs could indeed be helpful to the Republicans. If Dianne Feinstein says the dogma lives strongly with, I just can't imagine who is not for sure already voting for Biden would not be deeply annoyed by that. So I don't know what this. I'm surprised by this tactic. I don't really understand it, but I will, leave to the majority leader how he's going to handle his House. I think it's good to have confirmation hearings. I think I think the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings were on balance helpful to the Republicans in the Senate, and certainly Amy Coney Barrett would, I think, come out very well. But I think there's also just the issue of time, and scheduling hearings takes time and can be a source of potential delay. I assume they want to have this all wrapped up by the election.
Got it. Sarah, any final question or comment?
No, I actually think it's a very interesting point, because we have to remember that it's not only Donald Trump who's running for president, but a third of the Senate is running for re-election, and all the House of Representatives. And we're not only talking about concern about the presidential election, but in terms of who's going to be running the House and the Senate, should there be a sweep in any direction. So I think that your point is very well taken, that should be long ramifications, not only for the presidential election, but for the entire Congress as well. So something to keep.
My prediction is this may be the last nomination for a 9-member court.
It might be what? I missed that?
The last nominee of a 9-member court. Wow.
The last nomination of a justice to a 9-member court.
Wow.
Well, that prediction is based on Biden winning and then stacking the court. Is that basically what you're saying? You think it's going to happen?
There's a reasonable chance of that. I think that is a very realistic situation. Like, it's not like science fiction. Again, packing the court sounds bad, but nothing in the Constitution says there needs to be 9 justices. As there's not always been 9 justices. There need not always be 9 justices. And we'll see what happens.
That is an interesting way to end this interview. Law Professor Eugene Hantanovich, thank you very, very much for your insights.
Okay, take care.
Thank you, Avi.
Signing off. Thank you, Sarah and Ruth from the Yes Israel Project for another Pulse of Israel episode. Signing off here in the eternal and ancestral homelands of the Jewish people. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Stay safe and stay healthy. And take care of your family. Correct, Sarah?
Yes, and stay safe, stay healthy, and stay informed, because there's a lot going on, and every day is a new day in the history of the news cycle and what's going on. So keep informed with us. Thank you, Avi, for your time and for your efforts, and we look forward to hearing from you again soon.
All right. Until then, folks, stay tuned for some more Yes Israel Project special U.S. election video updates. So we'll be seeing you soon. Take care, everyone. Shalom.